Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Welcome, everyone. It's Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio with your host, Lucy Liebfried in Chicago. And we're waiting on Anthony. Anthony's running a little bit late tonight because we have a new fan that's going to join us. Anthony's sister had a baby girl tonight, so he's running late with some family obligations. But I'm still here. And we have a great show for you tonight. So the chat room is up and running, so feel free to ask any questions. If you lose sound on your player, just refresh your page or log back in. Remember, Blog Talk can be a little bit testy sometimes. You can also send us an email at paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com, and be sure you check us out on our Facebook page. So, without further ado, my excitement's ready to burst. I mean, it's for so many reasons tonight. So let's go ahead and start the show. You know what? There are so many things on their own that are very, very special. But you know what? When you pair them up with other things, they become amazing. Peanut butter and jelly, chocolate and milk. Well, now we can add another pair to this list, Amy and Steve. When you pair up Amy Allan, a physical medium, with a retired New York City Police Department homicide detective, Steve DiSchiavi, you get the most original and powerful paranormal show on television, The Dead Files. They are a paranormal team like no other, combining their...
What happened?
Hold on, guys. Combining their unique, eclectic, and often conflicting skills to solve unexplained paranormal phenomena in haunted locations across America. Now, The Dead Files airs each Friday night on the Travel Channel and will be premiering their amazing third season next Friday night, October 5th. We're so excited to see their new episodes and extremely excited to be able to talk to them tonight. So I don't want to waste any more time, so please help me in welcoming the two people that we find to be the most fascinating in the field, Amy Allan and Steve DiSchiavi. Hi, Amy. Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Hi.
Hi.
Let me just tell you, it is such an honor to have you both on the show. I'm so glad that you took time from your busy schedule to join us. I just want to get right into this. I mean, this is just so exciting. The show is just so amazing. It's not only a great paranormal show, but you know what? It's actually a fascinating unsolved crimes mystery. So did you both agree to do the show right away, or did it take some convincing?
Well, I should probably answer that one. When I got approached to do the show, a paranormal show, I didn't want to do it. I turned it down right away. But I was convinced by the creator of the show, Jim Casey, to just at least give it a chance, fly out to do a pilot on it and meet Amy and see how it went. And, well, the rest is history after that.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm so glad that you were convinced to do this. You know, the cases, they all seem to have a lot of activity happening in and around them. So can you tell us how the cases are chosen to investigate? Are these locations are they chosen based on the activity alone, or is there a particular factor that makes one place more appealing than another?
Well, it's not about the appealing as much as it is urgency, especially if there's kids involved. For me, when we do a process of trying to figure out where to go and which case to do, it's a matter of Well, if you get people that are like, I have ghosts in my house, but I like them and there's no problem, everything's great, well, then you really don't need us. But if you've got a problem that you can't figure out and you don't know why it's happening and it's getting maybe violent, that's when we take those cases serious and take those on more than others.
Okay. Amy, now, we noticed that you use psychometry in many of the cases that you have on the show. Now, other than the actual physical touching of the objects or the walls, are the visions or what you receive, are they different than what you receive when you're just walking through a location?
Well, I utilize, as a physical medium, I see and hear dead people just like living, like living people. So if there's a dead person on location, I'll just have a conversation with them. But if there's no dead people or just a few, then I rely on my psychometry, which is the ability to touch objects and receive information that way.
You know what? Your abilities, we find them so compelling and so real. And what we love seeing is how you react when you receive messages or visions. Now, I know some people find that strange, but can you give us a little insight as to what actually goes on in your mind and in your body when you're in a location?
Well, when I'm talking to someone who is dead, what's going on is I'm basically trying to process all of the information that they're communicating to me so that I can get it out, so I can verbalize it. And, I really need to focus on the important things like, name, age, their appearance, what happened. So I try to get as much detail as I possibly can. At the same time, my body physically is being affected because as a physical medium, you can take on the persona of that dead individual. So I'm kind of trying to keep up a boundary so that they don't actually jump inside my body to communicate, but rather I'm trying to keep them at arm's length. And also it's rather, it can be painful at times. Like there's just a lot of energy that I'm receiving, and it kind of feels like electricity running through my body. So sometimes I have to kind of shake that off.
Okay. Steve, how do you make the transition from homicide to investigating claims of paranormal activity? Would you say that it's like almost the same thing?
No, not really. I mean, my approach to investigations is pragmatic, and it's pretty much black and white for me. I get asked a lot of times on my Facebook page, Steve, what do you think about this type of thing with the paranormal? I'm like, that's not my field. I leave that to Amy. I do my cases like I approach the cases like I would approach any other investigation. But what I find myself doing now is when I do my interviews and I do my research, mostly when I do my interviews, is I'm going to ask questions now that I wouldn't have asked 2 years ago that would relate more to what I think Amy may need from her walk. So I'm a little bit different in the way I handle an investigation. I handle it the same way, but my questioning is a little more in-depth for her end.
Okay. So what are your beliefs in the paranormal?
Well, I've always been open-minded. I'm not saying I've never seen anything. I've never experienced anything. So it's hard for me to talk to people that have and understand what they're going through. But I believe in Amy, and I know what happens, and so I've always had an open mind. I just consider myself an open-minded skeptic. Okay.
So now that you and Amy have done over 24 shows that have aired, have you ever experienced anything paranormal while filming any of the shows?
Me? No, nothing.
Amy?
Nothing, nothing creeps me out. People ask me that all the time. Do places scare you? I'm like, no. No, it scares me. People scare me, not places.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very different. I mean, I'm not spooked out by a creepy basement or, but I'll tell somebody I'm interviewing, yeah, I can understand this creeps me out too, but really in reality it doesn't. I come from a you know the background I'm from, so I don't have to tell you what creeps me out. So for me, when it comes to locations, it's not so much as it is the people that may creep me out.
Well, you know what? I've been around psychics and mediums quite a bit, and I found that many truly don't have the gift and kind of gave up on finding, you know, a lot that have that ability. But yet after watching the first few shows of the Dead Files, you know, my thoughts on mediums have changed dramatically, and I have never seen anyone like Amy before, and I'm a true believer.
I haven't either, and that's the reason I did the show. I worked with a couple of psychics on a couple of homicide cases I had in the past, and they kind of left me high and dry with no leads, and I kind of just like, you know, these people, whatever. But I met Amy, and I feel the same way. My attitude towards, had I met her first, maybe my attitude would have been different. But people ask me all the time, like you asked, if I believe in the paranormal. I say, well, I believe in Amy 110%, so that's where I draw it.
Now, Amy, both of your parents are sensitives. So what was like life growing up for you?
Well, even though they're both sensitive, we didn't at that time really communicate about it. It was kind of like everybody was in their own hell dealing with their abilities. My mother had things going on. She was having experiences. My father was having things going on. He was having experiences. I was having things going on and having experiences. But we never really communicated as a family about it, not until I was much older. So it was a little difficult.
Well, you know, here's a question that I've had, and I really have been curious about it. Are you able to turn off and on your medium abilities, or is it a 24/7 deal?
Well, I'm fairly good at that. I'm definitely more open, or I stay more open now. You know, I'm pretty much open 24/7 on the road, so I'm having pretty much constant experiences. When I go home, I try to shut down and close it out as much as I possibly can.
So, you know what? How do the dead react when they know you can see them?
They run up to you and talk to you.
Now, you know what?
Have somebody to talk to, you know.
Like, hello.
You have nobody to talk to for a long time. I guess anybody that's willing to listen, you're going to run up to.
Do they talk your ear off?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what? Okay, so now this next question, it might sound a little bit morbid, but have you given thought to what help you can do when you cross over to the spirits who are still searching or stuck?
I've been doing that since I was a child. So it just happens pretty organically for me. As far as, you know, what steps need to be taken. Like, it's different if I'm just personally moving them on versus I'm at a location and I have to help the people that live there move someone on. So, you know, that just depends on the case.
Okay. You know what? In the episode, The Devil Made Me Do It, Amy, you encountered the basement to be some sort of void or black hole. Now, you mentioned that most locations either have a positive or a negative energy, but to find a location that has no energy is rare. So what does it mean when a location does not have any energy?
Well, I mean, that was, you know, it's fairly rare that happens. But from what I've seen, when that is going on, it seems to be filled with like this void, this emptiness, and it becomes, it's a negative thing. Even though there's not that negative, like that instantaneous negativity, I don't know how to describe it. There's this void, but it's like more this nothing. It's hard to describe it. It really is. It's just a nothingness. But it seems to draw negativity to it.
Okay. So like it just the negative just like moves into it, like
Yeah.
there's a void. Okay. So this next question, it's for you both. And has anything ever happened on the cases that you've done that's actually surprised you or come as a shock?
Well, nothing shocks me. I've seen pretty much everything. So, but when it comes to paranormal, I'm pretty shocked by some of the things I hear. What people have seen. That doesn't shock. Nothing shocks me. I'm surprised by a lot of things. We're doing a case now that we can't even talk about, unfortunately, that I was pretty shocked by some of the things that are happening at this location. And when I say shocked, I'm just like, wow, that really happened? I wish I could have seen that, But they're all, every case we've done is so different. It's just, every case has their own unique issues. And for me, I don't know, everybody's got their own personal, some people actually like the stuff they're going through, which I don't get. Which is surprising to me, but I'm also surprised when people don't take our advice. That's another thing that shocks me.
Yeah, that kind of shocks me too.
So, Amy, is that like about the only thing that's really ever shocked you? I mean, has the dead ever given you any reason to, maybe the outcome comes a twist that you never thought could happen?
Oh, well, I mean, honestly, I'm shocked every time I do this that it's happening. That, this is something that is so unresearched and so set aside and considered so abnormal, and yet it's something that is always happening. And so many people are, desperate and scared and traumatized because there's so little help out there and so little, understanding concerning, the paranormal. And so, really every single case, every single person, whether they're living or they're dead, is a surprise because, we're all individuals and, there's never something, there's no cookie cutter. Anything in this.
You know what? You guys just did mention, and this is one of the things that we do love about the show, and that's how you do give the suggestions to people involved in the case and how to deal with the activity. Now, you've actually told people that they should leave the place only a couple times. Now, have you been able to follow up with any of the clients to see if they really took the advice?
Well, we follow up. The problem is, we had one client left that night when we told her she should leave, and her daughter was there and took her out of there. So some people listen right away. Others got to be a little more convinced. That's why we started doing these revisit episodes, so people can see that the follow-up stuff that's going on.
Okay. Steve, how do your friends on the force feel about you doing this show?
That's a good question. Some are excited about, for me, obviously, because I'm on TV, which is, it is what it is. But I have resistance, because guys know me and how I was. And had you told me 5 years ago that I'd be doing the show, I would have bet the mortgage on it, that I wouldn't be doing it. But after meeting Amy, my attitude changed. So my answer to those guys that are skeptics about me and the show, and they told me, I drank the Kool-Aid, which is a term that cops use. When they told me I drank the Kool-Aid, I told them, you know what? Why don't you meet Amy for a couple hours, then talk to me.
Okay. So is that how you explain Amy and what she does to the people you meet or to your friends?
Well, I do that now, but I used to do it in a more aggressive manner before. That's my manner. That's my answer now. But before, I used to be I'm very protective of Amy. Very, very protective. And
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So when people talk shit about her, I get crazy. And
that's cool.
But now I've learned how to answer it without knocking anybody out. So. Which is a good thing, because I don't want to go to jail.
Well, you know what? I totally respect that.
Yeah. So, but that's my new answer, and it seems to work because how do you respond to that? You know, unless you meet her, don't talk to me. Don't talk, crap about what you don't know. And if you're closed-minded, then I have nothing to talk to you about anyway. So.
Well, Amy, dealing with the dead seems, and you briefly touched on it, it really does seem to take a great physical toll on you. And you know what? It's almost painful to watch sometimes. Do you believe that the dead can actually affect the living's health?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I've seen, many, many clients who have severe health issues due to living with the dead. And absorbing their energy all of the time. So it definitely affects sensitives.
Santa Fe was a good case where she was being affected physically really bad.
Right.
A lot of health issues.
So, you know what, Amy, another question I really wanted to ask you. There have been children that have appeared to you. And one question that we've always had is, why would a child remain on this earthly plane and not move on?
It seems that in most of the cases where it's children, they don't understand what happened. It's either they're stuck in their death state or they're unaware. They're just unaware of, what's going on, what's surrounding them, and they, for whatever reason, didn't make that transition. It's not, but it doesn't seem to be a choice. You know what I mean? Like with adults or teenagers, they decided to stay or for this reason or that. But with children, it's either they don't know that they're dead or they're stuck in their death state.
Well, some people in the paranormal field, they seem to think that sometimes children can be something else, possibly something more evil. Do you believe that?
Yeah, that happens.
Okay.
Yes, it does. It does.
Have you come in contact with anything that appeared as a child?
Yes, I have. Little tricksters.
Yes, she has.
How did you figure that one out? I mean, do they slip? I mean, do they try to maintain the front?
I saw what this kid was doing to people, and it was very, very negative, even though he looked like a little sweetheart. And, he was talking about how he died and he missed his parents and all of this, but yet he's doing these horrific things to people. And, it took me a minute, but I figured it out, and I'm like, oh, you're not who you are or who you're representing yourself to be. You're not a child. So, yeah, it happens.
Okay. So along that line, you have said sometimes that spirits don't know that they're dead. So have you ever told them that they were dead, and did they ever react to it negatively?
When I was younger and I was, just starting out doing walks and trying to help, when I was like late teens, I made the mistake of trying to tell people that they were dead, and that is not appropriate. It is something that they need to go through themselves. They need to come to grips with it themselves. They need to work it out for themselves. Okay.
Steve, now as a homicide detective on the New York Police Department, I know you've been involved in cases that would make people's hair stand on end. But how do the cases that you and Amy investigate compare to the cases that you've worked on as a detective?
That's an interesting question. It's hard to explain. I mean, the cases we do now, or Amy and I do now, there's nobody dead. There's no crisis. Nobody got shot, stabbed, robbed, and beaten.
Well, they might have.
Well, they might have by... But for what I'm used to.
Right.
So when I don't see the actual physical part of it, I can't, for me, I got to take everything with a grain of salt. So, when I'm interviewing people, I'm like, yeah, I got shoved off the bed and I got my hair pulled. I'm like, all right. Unless I see proof of it on my end, I just listen and I take it all in. I absorb all the information. And then when we do the reveal, Amy says, yeah, whatever she is capable of doing that, then I'm like, well, okay then. I believe it then. I don't know if that answers your question, but the cases we do now compared to what I did in the police department, I actually like these better, believe it or not, because we're helping people. I mean, when I had a homicide case and I couldn't solve it or whatever, and give a parent resolve that we got who killed your daughter or your son, that's tough to live with, and I still live with it, and it hurts. And now it's different. Now I get to Amy's my what would you say? You're my closure for cases.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, watching the show, I mean, it's pretty apparent. I mean, Amy, you're amazing. But, Steve, you are really, the appearance that you give, you are such an incredible investigator. And one thing that I wanted to ask you, do you do all this on your own?
Well, I appreciate that. No, obviously I can't do everything on my own. I do have help. Like everything else, I engage people to help me, even librarians, historians. I do whatever. I grab whoever I can to help you out. If you get a detective that tells you, yeah, I solved that case, he's full of shit. He didn't just solve it himself. He had help. So he may have gotten the confession, but everything that led up to getting that guy and getting the confession was a collective effort. So, I'm not allowed to curse on the radio, am I?
We're on the internet. You can curse away if you want to.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think it's awesome. Okay, this question's for either of you, okay? How different or difficult was it to investigate a place that's well known, sort of like Alcatraz or the Lizzie Borden house, because you already know the history of the location?
I was freaking out. I really was. I was so freaking out. More with Lizzie Borden than Alcatraz. I didn't really care about Alcatraz.
See, I did. She didn't.
Okay, I didn't know that much about Alcatraz, and I kept it that way because that's kind of how I like to do my thing. I like to know nothing. So that one was all right, but the Lizzie Borden, I was a little freaked out because I thought I knew a lot about that case. But, and so when I did the walk, I didn't really expect to be able to do anything or get anything, but then I was seeing a lot of other stuff, and
I don't think most people can handle either. So
that kind of changed my mind about doing known locations a little bit. It's well, maybe it's not that terrible. If you don't really know everything about it, then maybe you can do it occasionally. But the thing about what I do and how I do it is because there has to be a standard set for sensitives. And if a sensitive knows every freaking detail about a location, they could go in there and, they're going to tell you exactly, they're going to regurgitate what they told you or what they know about that location. And so to me, that's biased. That's not real research. That's not scientific enough. Right. And that's something that us as sensitives, we have to do that. We have to take it into our hands to be able to prove that this is valid and can be utilized.
Steve, how about you?
As far as what, the known locations?
Yeah, known locations.
Well, Alcatraz for me, that's every cop's dream is to go to Alcatraz, I think, and we had full... we were able to basically take over the place at night after everything closed down, so we had full access, which was pretty incredible. That was a great case for me because the stuff Amy hit on, that wasn't common knowledge, and I didn't know about it, obviously, and I thought I knew a lot about Alcatraz. A lot of it wasn't common knowledge. I said, listen, I got to talk to a perp that was in jail there, and I need to talk to a guy that worked there. So I was able to contact these people, and they kind of brought to light a lot of the stuff that nobody knew about. That was just a common homicide in jail. But Amy hit on it 100%. It just freaked me out when she did. as far as Lizzie Borden went, I thought I knew as much about that case as I could. It was a case I always wanted to look into. I found out a lot more about that case than I thought I knew, obviously. They screwed the crime scene up something terrible. So, by today's standards, Lizzie Borden would be doing life in jail or worse, because when you look at all the evidence and the way they handled it at first, had it been done properly, she wouldn't have stood a chance on a trial.
Right. Well, some of the things that you came up with in Lizzie was absolutely, it was frightening. It was absolutely frightening. And one thing that I thought was absolutely cute, are you convinced that Amy came in contact with Al Capone?
110%.
Okay.
You know what? And I questioned her on it. Are you sure it's not I thought it was the Spanish guy at first that was a prisoner there. When she started talking about the Stanley Hotel, now I knew a lot about the Stanley Hotel, the Stanley Theater rather. I knew a lot about Al Capone because my grandfather came over from Italy with his father. So I knew a lot about that family. And I knew a lot about Al Capone, just, being Italian, growing up in Brooklyn. And I knew about that collar he took in that theater. And when she said Stan, and she's described him well-dressed and all this other stuff, I was like, holy shit, she talked to Al Capone, and she doesn't realize it. And this is what I'm saying to myself during the reveal, and I didn't want to blurt it out. And I have to contain myself sometimes because we have a process doing the reveal. And she's like, Mike, you know Al Capone? I say, yeah, I think so. And, she's a little naive to a lot of the stuff that I know about, and I'm very naive to 95% of the stuff she knows about. So it makes a good balance, obviously. But if people ask me, bullshit, she saw Al Capone, I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. I'm convinced she saw Al Capone and she spoke to him. So.
Well, just the sketch.
I really liked him.
Yeah, and we talked about it later on. I said, you're pissed off because he duped you. I mean, that's what he did. That was his job.
Yeah. Well, the sketch was amazing. I mean, when the sketch was revealed, I mean, oh, my God, you looked at it and it was like, oh, my God, that's Al.
Yeah.
So.
And she saw him as he liked to dress. That's what he was. He was the Dapper Don of his day.
Like going on about his shoes.
Yeah. I mean, if you looked at any old photos of Capone in the 20s,
shoes were important.
He lived in a hotel. He had his hair cut every day.
Damn.
He had his shoes done every day.
Yeah, I believe that.
So what she saw wasn't surprising to me, but she didn't know any of this stuff.
Right. Well, I'm here in Chicago, so of course, Al Capone is like part of history here. So when I saw the picture, it was like, oh wow, you know what? I kind of had a feeling as I was watching the episode, but when I saw the sketch, it was like, oh my God, she talked to him. She really did talk to him.
Oh yeah, and he was from Brooklyn originally, on Garfield Place in Brooklyn. His father owned the barbershop on York Street, so I knew a lot about the guy prior to going in, but I had no clue it would play into our case. I knew he did time there, but I knew he didn't die there. He died in Miami at his house. But and when Amy said that he told her that this was his hell, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Because that was the one place he did time that he didn't have easy time.
Right. Okay. Now, Amy, I believe I read somewhere that one of the places that you want to visit is the Valeska Axe Murder House. Now, Anthony and I...
both of us do, very much.
Okay. Anthony and I were just there in August. So tell me, what's appealing about this place to you?
Unsolved. Brutal. Unsolved. Kid.
I have my own ideas about what might have happened, and I won't discuss them with Amy. But, it's an open homicide case no matter how old it is. And for me, obviously I won't be able to talk to anybody that was around during that time, but it's still something I'd like to sink my teeth into.
Well, let me tell you, to me, it was probably one of the best investigations we've done. And hopefully if you guys go there that you'll be able to film it, because I can't wait to see what you get. I'd like
to do a case differently on that one. I'd like to do the walk with Amy and question her as we go. We'd like to do a little twist to our normal investigation.
Yeah.
Because it would be a known location anyway. So for me and her, we've talked about this a lot. because it would be great for me to kind of interrogate her. Not her, but do an interrogation through her.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Has the show ever thought about going international to any locations overseas?
You know, that's kind of not up to us, but me and Amy are definitely down for it. We both have our wish list of where we'd like to go. For me, I'd like to go to London.
Yes.
For obvious reasons. I wouldn't mind going to Italy either, for obvious reasons. But I would definitely like to do something international, even, South Pacific, something where, meeting new people, different culture. I mean, that for me alone is just a big plus.
Yeah, I'd love to do Japan and China, just because their take on death is so different.
Right.
I would like to ensure the beings that exist there and the dead that are there.
Personally, I'm not sure if I want to see this, but you mentioned it. Are there plans for you to investigate together at the same time?
There's no plans in effect. However, we have discussed it. We're telling the producers this is what we'd like to do if Travel Channel would offer the opportunity for us to do a special in like the place we talked about, or. But listen, we're open for anything, me and Amy. I mean, it's not a scripted show, obviously, so we're open for anything. And if Travel Channel would give us the opportunity to do investigations in other countries, I mean, we'd jump all over it.
Right. Well, I know we'd love to see it. I know that the fans of the show would love to see it.
We could do a whole season overseas. I mean, basically.
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. But, okay, so Amy, what's the one misconception about the paranormal and spirits that you find having to correct all the time?
Where do you want to start?
Gosh.
If there's one thing you have to pick, what's the one thing?
That people can't live with them. There's a lot of dead people that are just really happy, bopping around, and they're not really bothering anybody. It's just sometimes a sensitive might live there and freak out, just because they might glimpse them or something. But it's not always necessary to remove a dead person from your life.
Okay. So, the living can coexist with the dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
I can't exist with some living people, let alone dead people, so.
I think we all find that. Okay. Now, Steve, you're a retired New York City Police Department detective, and you're an ex-Marine.
Yes, I am. Former Marine, I am, yes.
You have said that you never stop being a detective. Now, similar to what Amy goes through, how do you turn it off, or does the detective in you always go to work when you meet new people?
You know what? I find myself questioning my waitress when I'm getting food. It's such a natural, and I don't even realize I'm doing it. But, I'll ask people, hey, where you from? How old are you? All right, where do you go to school? What's your major? All right, what do you do for a living? Oh, yeah? How'd you get involved in that? I mean, I just have a normal line of questioning that just comes out naturally. And it's probably annoying to most people, but I think a lot of people that talk to me do want to talk to me. So I don't think it's ever turned off at all.
Okay. Now, Amy, in one case particular, and I believe it was The Devil Made Me Do It, your sketch actually was that of a living person, and this was the person who killed his boss, and he's now in jail. Now, is it residual energy from the actual person that you're picking up, or is it more about the traumatic negative energy that's attracted to that location?
It's kind of both. So there's this residual imprint of the event that occurred. which kind of left a little bit of Moses there. Like just an aspect, a little tiny piece of that moment, and he kind of fractured. And so this tiny little piece of him is still there, and it's aware to some extent. But also, that location does attract negativity, and there is a link between that location and him. And so that connection will always exist as well.
Okay. Now, of all the cases that we've seen on TV, which one is your favorite that you've worked on, and why?
You want me to go first, or you want to go first? That's a good question. I have a couple, but I think... you mean ones that have aired already?
Yeah.
For me, I think Santa Fe, the prison. We always felt that could have been a 2-hour special because it was so much content there. Amy had to do 2 walks. There was so much that went on in that place. There's so many people, prisoners plus working people and people that were just visiting there went through. For me, that was the most interesting case because there was so much stuff going on and so many people involved. Just talking to the former inmate that was involved for the riot and listening to what happened. I mean, they cut 90% of what that investigation was, and it's nobody's fault. It's TV, and it's got to get cut. But had that been a 2-hour special, I think people would have flipped out over that one.
Really?
Yeah. And we talked about it right after we finished the reveal. I'm like, this should be a special, at least 2 hours or a 2-parter. That's how intense that investigation went, and I think the audience got cheated out of it a little bit because it was only an hour, 44 minutes, whatever the hell it was, but because of editing and whatever reasons, it couldn't be a special. But that was, for me, the best one that we did that's been aired.
Okay.
I could say.
Amy, do you have a favorite case that you've worked on?
Mine was in Elizabeth City.
Yeah, it was a good one. That's another tough one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that one too because for me, it was like opening up an old homicide case that they screwed up. I almost said the F word. That they screwed up. But with a lousy half-ass autopsy. You know what I mean? So, and she really took that one and, wow. I mean, that was some case. She's airing right now as we speak. Elizabeth City.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, the DVR is going. Trust me, I'll watch it again. You know what? Talking to you, I mean, it seems like you get a lot of satisfaction from being able to close up some of these cases.
For me, it does.
Yeah.
Because I've had so many open cases on the job that, me and Amy have talked about it. I'm still haunted by the fact, and no pun intended. But, there's a lot of cases I wish I could have closed and I didn't because of whatever reasons. But with her help, I'm a small part of the show. I think Amy's the whole catalyst of how things work. And my part of the show is to actually just assist her, and she really helps me help them.
Well, you know what? I mean, just watching it, I think I'm going to disagree with you on that because I think you're both an integral part of the show. Amy's,
absolutely. Thank you.
Like I said, Amy, you are amazing, and the things that come across are awesome. But, Steve, you give that background that just solidifies everything that we see Amy going through. So, I'm going to disagree. I think you both are equal, integral parts of this show, and I think a lot of the fans will agree with that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. Get
mad at me.
Okay, so now let's go to the flip side. Okay, is there an episode that you wish you never actually conducted? I mean, not meaning the clients, but actually when you discovered about the spirits or the history.
That's a good question. I never got asked that question. For me, I like some more than others, but I've never disliked the case. I wasn't crazy about Lizzie Borden for obvious reasons.
Right.
I can't say what I really feel, but I didn't care for that case too much. I just think it's been beat to death, and it's just people are very passionate about that case on both sides. Where it's almost political. Where people are like, no way she did it. I'm like, all right, it looks like a horse, it smells like a horse, it's a horse. Stop the bullshit. So, for me, that case that was one case, I could have done without, but the people I met and the people I interviewed were amazing.
Amy, is there any case that you've felt that maybe you guys shouldn't have touched?
Well, I can say that the one I didn't like doing personally because it physically harmed me was Santa Fe.
Yeah, the same case we were talking about.
Okay. So
the one case I love to do is the one case she got, so that'll give you an idea what we went through.
Well, see, that's an idea. I mean, like you said, there's only 44 minutes, and if there's so much over there that's left over, I mean...
Well, our reveals last 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours, and there's 9 minutes of it on TV. So, when fans say, well, why didn't you discuss, I know about this, why didn't you guys discuss that? I get aggravated because I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we did discuss it, just didn't make it to air. And the reason they last that long is because we're not there for the show, we're there for the client.
Right.
So whatever questions they need answered, we answer them, whether it's for TV or not.
Right.
Well, maybe it's an idea to get the whole thing and put as much as you can onto a DVD, because I know I would sit through the whole thing. I would sit through all 4 hours.
Well, some of it's comical too, so I know they don't want that on there.
Yeah.
Me and Amy, we break each other's chops a lot. So.
Well, you know what? Watching the show, you get that feeling. I mean, and I think that's part of the appeal of the show, because there is an obvious respect between you two, and it's just a pleasure. 100%. Like I said, if you can make that come across just in the 44 minutes, I mean, that's absolutely awesome. I mean, to find a partnership like that is very, very difficult.
And rare.
Yeah.
And rare, yes. Yes,
because from my background, it takes a lot for a guy like me to do something like this. But once you meet Amy, it's like, how can you not do it?
Thank you.
Okay, we do have a couple of fans that emailed us questions, and we actually had a question in the chat room, and I wanna let me start with the one from the chat room, and I don't see the name, but I remember the question, and please bear with me, guys, because I'm trying to run the chat room and
by yourself there too, right?
Yeah,
I get it.
But the question was, Amy, is there a location that you ever felt that you really had to leave on your before the walk was over?
Never before a walk is over. I might have to take a break or two during the walk, but I've never just up and left a location during a walk. No.
He's tougher than most Marines I know.
Okay. Now, this one is from Peggy Harper, and she asked, are there any members of the production crew who don't believe?
Yes. Yes, there are. That don't believe in the paranormal, but yet they believe in Amy, which I don't get. Well, I do get it, because if you've never experienced anything and you've never seen anything, how do you believe it? But those guys are there for Amy's walk, and they know what goes on. Our show's legit, no matter what anybody says. We're legit.
Right.
But there are a couple of members of the crew that are like, well, until I see it, I don't believe it. And I respect that. It's okay. But they're very passionate about working on the show at the same time.
And I think it's a good thing because with that, comes and maintains the integrity of the show.
Okay. Another question from the chat room was, is there any case that has totally freaked you out or scared you?
I've been through
Santa
too much.
Fe.
Santa Fe. Same case.
Made me very, very violently ill several times and was overwhelming.
Okay. Okay. Now, I've got another one, and this one's from Denise Mendenhall, and she's from Paranormal Researchers of Iowa. And she wants to know from Amy, how do you and your husband find time to be a normal married couple, and will you and he be writing a book soon? And also, Steve, how do you find time to be with your family with the crazy shooting schedule?
Well, for me, it's... when I was on the job, I'd go to work on a Monday and not come home Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So my lifestyle for many, many, many years was never being around. So my wife's used to it. My daughter's used to it. It sucks, but they understand what I'm doing, and they're very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
I miss home because I like my house. I like living in I hate living in a hotel room. But at the same time, when you leave a client's house, and they have that look of "thank God you came," to me it's all worth it.
Amy?
Well, Matt and I have been married for almost 13 years, and we always had a little bit of a difficult marriage, and we recently decided to separate, and we have officially done so.
Okay.
But we work together very, very well, and we want to continue working together, and we want to continue being very good friends.
Okay. Okay. Is there a plan for any books from either of you?
I don't know who the hell would want a book from me, but I mean, Amy, I think is probably do a book soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have a couple of books coming out.
Okay.
Now, I get
awesome.
asked a lot to do, what's the word when they want me to sit and talk to them? God damn it,
Interviews?
No, when they want me to talk in front of a bunch of people.
Oh, the lectures.
I get offers to do lectures on how to properly do an investigation a lot more so than doing a book. But, I get a lot of Facebook questions. Steve, how do I go about doing this? How do I go about doing that? I mean, you're not going to have the access that I do. I have my own PI company, so I have access to a lot more material than most people do.
Mm-hmm.
And John Q. Public can't just walk into locations sometimes and get the answers that I get. But don't forget, I've been doing this for a long time, so for me, I know how to go about getting answers, and I know how to go about asking people for the right help and to ask the right people. So as far as writing a book, for me, I don't see it in the future, but as far as lecturing, yeah, I'd love to do something like that. I love teaching. I used to love teaching new detectives coming up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did read that you're a private investigator. Do you still do that, or have you retired from that?
Well, I had to retire from it because of the show. I just don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And to tell you the truth, I'd rather do this than the PI work I used to do, to be honest with you. So as long as we are able to do this and Travel Channel wants us, I'll do it till the end.
Well, we want you to keep doing it.
You're partial, I think, though.
Yeah, what can I say, Okay, so there's this thing that we do, and we haven't done it in a long time, so we're hoping that you're both up for it. Have you two ever heard of the show Inside the Actor's Studio with James Lipton?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I did security for that place.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well,
I know
one of the parts of his show is a word game that he plays with his guests, and we'd love to have you play along, if you're both up for it.
Sure.
I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth, so.
That's the best part.
I'm warning you right now.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the title and the location of one of your episodes, and what we would like to hear from you both is just one word that describes what that show or location either meant or feels to you. And just one word to sum it up. It could be your feelings, your thoughts about the case, the clients, maybe even the production of it. Anything you want. Anything, Steve. Okay, but only one.
Okay. You're going first, though. I'm not going first.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to do it separately?
You can. We'll give you both time. Okay. We want to hear what you both have to say.
Okay.
The first one. Okay. Let's start with Death and Dolls, and this was Cramerton, North Carolina. It was from season
Bernie!
1.
Lunatic. He asked for the first word. I'm like, who the fuck has that many dolls in the house?
All I said was dirty.
She asked for a word. I'm sorry.
I said a word, dirty.
Okay, I gotta watch.
What a show! You saw the look on my face when I walked in there.
Oh my God. Okay, Killed by the Klan, Key West, Florida. Again from season 1.
Bad.
That's a good question. I don't know what word pops into my head other than chickens.
Okay.
You know why I said that, right?
Yes, I do. There were chickens everywhere.
Freaking chickens all over the place. Not just chickens, roosters. They couldn't stop. They were everywhere in the cemetery. They were everywhere. They were everywhere.
Okay. Evil in Erieville, New York, season 1.
Insanity.
Perp. The first word that comes into my mind. Because
Okay.
I interviewed the perp that did the homicide, so perpetrator. I shortened it up a little bit.
How'd you do that? She's dead.
No, I interviewed. You're talking about the one in Asbury Park.
Elvis.
Oh, Elvis. I thought you were talking. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Elvis.
Oh, Elvis? Cold.
Okay.
Freezing our asses off. That's the only thing I can think of on that one.
I'm insanity. Insanity.
Okay, how about Fear at the Family Tree from Utah?
Angry.
It's a good question. Enlightening.
Okay. Surrounded, Cedar Park, Texas, from season 2.
Great steak.
Sweetheart.
She was a doll. She was nice.
Okay.
Not like Kristen from Wichita, but she was a doll too.
Okay. That's Kansas, season 2.
That one?
Mhm.
Doll. She was a doll. That's the first word that could come out of my mouth.
Scattered. I'm just saying, my words are summing up the entire experience of each location. So.
Okay.
Scattered.
Okay.
You notice her answers are more emotional and mine are more about the area.
Mhm. Okay. Fatal Attachment, Huntington, West Virginia, from season 2.
Oh, I adored Dr. Grimes, so adored is a great word for me. But wait, Fatal Attraction, West Virginia.
Fatal Attraction, West Virginia.
That's Dr. Grimes.
Yeah.
You got to understand. Sometimes we don't remember the titles of the shows.
Right.
And I apologize for that because we don't get to see them until they're on the air.
Mhm.
And that's the West Virginia with the doctor's house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Dr. Grimes.
Lost.
Okay. Okay, and next one is Arctic Wrath, and that's Circle Hot Springs Hotel in Central Alaska from season 2.
Uncomfortable.
Very, very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Yes.
If you would have saw what we slept in.
We agree. We agree on that. Uncomfortable. The entire experience was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
now
it proved that we'd be willing to go anywhere to do a case.
Well, you do know that all these one-word answers are going to make rewatching these episodes absolutely much more fun. Okay, next one, Banshee's Cry from Carmel, New York. This one's season 2.
Dying.
Goombas.
Dying.
Okay. And then finally the last one, Blood and Gold, McKay Mansion in Virginia City, Nevada, from season 2.
Interesting.
Desperate.
Okay.
That interested me because of all the tragedy that happened with these miners. I mean, it just blew me away what men went through to make $1.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, I mean, it's probably a better word, but for me, I was so interested when I got into that case.
Okay. I do have one more question from the chat room, and this is from Irma Jordan, and she wants to know how long does it take to do a taping of a single episode?
8 days.
8 very long days.
Is that the average, or have you ever had anything that wrapped up quicker?
We first season we did everything much quicker.
Like in 3 to 4 days. It was insane.
And that was due because I was still working full time. That was my fault.
Still working too.
Yeah, but I had to go to work. Amy had taken a leave of absence, and I was still actually working. So I was.
No, for first season I was still.
Were you?
Yeah, hands on.
Yeah, we were all sick at the end of the first season.
Well, yeah, we were. Physically.
Half the crew had bronchitis, who had pneumonia. It was bad.
So I'm assuming that both of you have retired from your day jobs, and now you're concentrating on the show?
Yeah, even though I retired from the police department, I was working full time because you can't live in New York without working full time, even with a pension.
Right.
So, I had to take the leap of faith and leave work, but I'm glad I did now.
And
Amy did too, actually.
Yeah. I still, it's still part of my work, because I was always doing investigations or body work or, all of those things. So I'm still kind of doing what I was doing, but just in a different way. Okay.
Well, Amy, I've read that you did work with investigators before on cases. That's correct.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is this any different than what you had been doing before?
No.
Well, the process is different.
Well, the process, because it's for a television show, yes.
Does it make it any easier? I mean, do doors open any easier when investigating?
Well, yes. Yes, definitely. I mean, I guess.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty charismatic when it comes to trying to get people to talk.
Yeah. He's real good. Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to TV, people, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? The season premiere of The Dead Files is going to premiere next Friday night, October 5th.
Oh, we didn't know that.
We didn't know that.
Yeah. Next.
I thought it was in November.
Well, I'm happy to tell you. Next
thank
Friday
you for the information. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Who the f*** knew that?
It's 10 p.m. East.
So it's next week?
It's next week, October 5th.
Oh, okay, good.
And we got that from the Travel Channel, so I'm pretty sure that
one. They told somebody, they didn't tell us.
Well, it's going to premiere, next Friday night, October 5th. It's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. So what I wanted to ask you now, what can we expect from this new season? Are there any cases that's going to shock us or maybe reveal any new paranormal claims?
Well, it's a good question. As far as paranormal stuff, I guess that's for you, but... second season kind of set the bar for the type of cases that we're doing. I think the third season is probably just a step higher. So if you really enjoyed the second season, I think you're going to love the third.
Yeah.
Things got pretty intense and we're not finished with the third season.
Okay, so you guys are actually on the case right now, aren't you not?
We are. We're breaking protocol by talking to you guys and seeing each other. But, right after the show, I leave her.
Okay. Well, I am so honored that you guys joined us. I have to tell you, when we found out that you guys are going to be on the show, and I can't stop saying this, and please forgive me, but this truly is, Anthony and I, it's our favorite show. I mean,
I appreciate that very much, and you did a great job. Sorry you had to do it by yourself.
Well, as far as partnerships go, Anthony is for me the perfect partner. I mean, what we do with the show, we're such as yourself.
Oh, I thought they cut you off.
No, Yeah, they hung up on me now. But, it's a labor of love. And being able to talk to people, especially such as yourself, this is truly an honor. And I know our fans, the appeal of the show is just so amazing. I don't think I've come across very few people. I don't think I've come across anybody that doesn't enjoy the show. So, we're all waiting, for the new season to come about, and I just can't, like I said, I can't say enough about it.
Well, we appreciate that. I mean, as long as people like what we're doing, we're obviously going to keep, as long as Travel Channel let us, we're going to continue doing our show. Me and Amy aren't going anywhere. So I hope that's good news for fans. And tell the fans that it's okay to come up and talk to me. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not going to bite their heads off. How many times I get on Facebook, I think I saw you in such and such location. I'm like, yeah, I was there. I'm like, I was afraid to come up to you. I'm like, why the hell didn't you just walk up to me and say hello? I mean, I'm very approachable. And I take a lot, whenever I do get a fan, I always put a picture of them on Facebook with me if I can get a photo. So as far as fans go, I really appreciate them, and I always give them a good shout-out.
I give a shout-out to Joe and Bruce. Met Joe tonight at Walgreens here in Wichita, Kansas, and she's a doll.
And you're twitting. What tweet? What are you going?
Twitting.
Yeah. Amy's on Twitter. I'm not. So in case fans are wondering, you keep asking that question.
Okay. Well, as soon as I can get to our Facebook page, I'm going to post your links for your Facebook pages and for Twitter. And like
not me, not Twitter.
Okay. And and Amy, the cat pictures are so adorable.
They are, aren't they?
They really are.
I put a picture of a bear up. Oh, and a cat. We had the cat.
I love all animals.
Yeah,
so.
me and Amy are both animal nuts, so.
Yeah.
I'm partial to dogs, though.
You know what? That's a question that I didn't ask before, but Amy, do you come across animals on the other side?
Oh, yeah.
She came across a horse when we were here last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
She don't remember, but
I'll meet a lot of animals.
Okay.
That are dead.
Okay. Well, and then again, too, are you able to give us a hint of some of the cases that are coming up this season? Are there any cool locations that we should set our DVRs for?
Cool locations. We went back to West Virginia. Pretty good case, and we loved that family.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
The family in West Virginia, the second case we did there, me and Amy loved that family, and we're glad that we were able to help them out. With some stuff going on in a few of our cases.
Yeah, it's been pretty intense.
We just did one in...
Yeah, this last one was...
In Illinois.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Pretty intense.
Really?
Yeah, in Illinois.
Very, very bizarre.
You know what? Even for me, I was a little... On my end of that investigation, that was like... I've never heard that before, which is pretty shocking. On my end of the investigation, that was in... are we allowed to say the city?
I don't know.
I don't think... Well, it was in Illinois. I don't know what the hell they're going to name it because we don't have anything to do with that, but the Illinois case was pretty intense. Okay.
Well, like I said, I'm here in Chicago, so I can't wait to see it.
Well, we weren't far. We were only about an hour and a half from where you guys were. We were about an hour and a half west to give you an idea of where we were.
Okay. Yeah, well, we've got our share of the weird and unusual here, so trust me, I can't wait to see this. Well, you know what, guys? I really have to say, you know what, this has been one of the biggest highlights of my life in a while, and one that I'm going to treasure for a long time.
I appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
I really want to thank you both, Amy and Steve, for coming on the show. You know, this has been an awesome interview. And you know what, guys, from both Anthony and me, I want to say thank you to you both and to the Travel Channel for finally bringing a show around that paranormal investigators can sit back and be both educated and entertained. You know, it's really amazing what...
And we want to thank the Travel Channel for taking a chance on us very much.
Absolutely.
Oh, God, I'm so happy they did.
Yeah, and the Travel Channel really takes care of us, and we just want to thank them. I don't know if they know that, but we appreciate that they took the chance on. I mean,
Yeah.
who the hell would want to take a chance on this type of a show?
Mhm.
It's not the way television's normally done. I mean, we're doing something with integrity and honesty, and it's scary for a lot of producers because
If she walks into a place and there's nothing there, we don't have a show.
right.
Mhm.
So simple, and they took a chance.
Yeah.
And I want to thank David Gerber from the Travel Channel personally,
Yeah.
if he's listening.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, you know what? It is truly amazing what both of your talents bring to the show. And you know what? We really do hope to see you guys for many more seasons to come. And I just want to share one last thing from the chat room. And everybody is saying how much they love you.
Oh, tell them we love them back.
We love them too. They're awesome.
I always say we got the greatest fans on the planet.
You
So,
sure do.
tell 'em thank you.
Okay. You know what, guys? Thank you so much. And both of you have a great weekend and a great investigation.
Thank you, Lucy. It was nice talking to you. Thank you.
It was nice talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, folks, there you have it. That was Amy and Steve. You know what? Honestly, and please forgive me for fawning over them, but you know what? I am truly a fan, and if Anthony were here, he would say the same thing. It really is both of our favorite paranormal show right now. So you know what? I'm hoping that you guys totally enjoyed this, and just the little bit that we could get from Amy and Steve. Like I said, the one-word answers, it's really going to make it a lot more interesting for me to go back and watch some of these episodes because hopefully you guys are like me. The DVR is always set, and, if there's nothing else to watch, I'd rather watch a rerun of the Dead Files than but like I said, it's totally different. What I told them before about the way that they work together, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, these people, they respect each other. And, Amy is an amazing medium. I mean, to me, she's the real deal, okay? Steve is an awesome investigator. And you know what? Again, truly, thank you to Amy and Steve. And again, thank you to the Travel Channel for, getting us together with them. So, while I have some time, I would like to take care of some business that we usually do every week, and that is the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. And this week, I'm trying to check the chat room here, and you know what, guys? Thank you so much for putting up for me, with me. I have been trying to read the chat room and tried to, work the board and everything, and, I totally understand it's probably been scattered all over the place, but I have been trying to monitor everything, and I tried to get the questions that I could see. But I'm looking here to see for the, let's see, we're going to talk about the Paranormal Review Fan of the Week, and I don't particularly see this person, but this person has been posting on our Facebook page and has been commenting and truly is, a fan of the paranormal. And that is Michael W. Coleman from Baltimore, Maryland. And congratulations, Michael, for being the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. And just a couple little things about Michael. He likes Slipknot, likes Ted Nugent, likes Ghost Hunters, Destination Truth, mountaineering, and, of course, he likes Paranormal Review Radio. So congratulations, Michael. Thank you for being a fan. Okay, guys. I'm speechless. Was this not the best? I mean, seriously, The Dead Files continues to be the best paranormal show on TV, and this season really does sound like it's going to be amazing. Thank you so much, Amy and Steve. God, I keep saying this, but you know what? I truly, I'm like in awe right now. I want to thank Amy and Steve for taking the time out of their busy schedule to join us. And like I said, these guys are actually working on a case right now. So we got a little bit of an exclusive. You know, they usually don't talk to each other until the case is over, and they got together just so they could talk to us for the fans. We want to thank the Travel Channel for their help in putting this show together. I really do need to calm down a bit. Actually, I need to ground myself and connect with the universe. Okay, everybody, all together. Deep breath. Okay, that's it. You know what? Have you been connecting with the universe lately? Have you been keeping up with the paranormal happenings and news that's happening lately? Where do you go to get an update on what's happening in the field? Well, earlier tonight on the Travel Channel, which by now you probably guessed is our favorite channel, a brand new show premiered. Did you happen to catch the first episode of Paranormal Paparazzi? Well, it's a great show, and it is hosted by Mr. Paranormal Pop Culture himself, Aaron Sagers. Aaron is going to be joining us next Friday night, and he's going to give us the inside scoop on this brand new show. We're going to talk to Aaron about what to expect this season from Aaron and his team of awesome reporters. So you really don't want to miss this show, okay? I want to say thank you to all of you, our fans, our friends, and family. I want to thank Anthony, wherever he is, for making this show so much fun to do. He's so special to me. And you know what? Congratulations, Joanne and Rocco, on the new edition. I can't wait to see the pictures. So until Friday night, dear friends, have a paranormal week, everyone. Good night. And thank you for putting up with me alone tonight. Okay? Good night, everybody.
Paranormal